This is Matt Mosley from the E Radio Network, heard daily across the Tri-State Network, Arkansas, Louisiana, and Texas, on all our fine affiliates. And great to have Coach Art Briles. Wonderful to see you. You've already given me a hard time about perhaps needing to go to the barber.
No, not at all. I'm just wondering we got the transplant. I'm jealous.
That's right. I'll give you my guy. But Coach Art Briles, the new head coach at Eastern New Mexico, and Coach, it's been nearly a decade. It's hard to remember. First of all, I have to say, you were holding out on us at Waco. You may have had a little something in the works, and you were kind of you had a big standing room audience only for that appearance you had at the Texas Sports Hall of Fame. And turns out everybody was like, "Would you coach again? Are you interested?" And you said, "Oh, I don't know. I this and that." And sure enough, you are a head coach in college again. So
kind of like a fourth down. You don't really ever let them know if you're going or not. Keep the personnel on the field. Don't let them switch on you and then do what you're going to do. But it's been really a blessing. I was very fortunate just to lead into it, Matt. It's kind of, how these things happen. I mean, it happened in about a 3 or 4 week period, I guess, with just testing back and forth. And fortunately, it all worked out. The AD, there's a man that I was, with at the University of Houston. So I've been around him since 2003. And he's just a good guy. And it's, he's been at Oklahoma State for like 17 years as a compliance guy, assistant athletic director. And this is his first AD job. So it's just timing, and it's a blessing for me because, as I can't sing, I can't dance, I can't ride, I can't, skip rocks very good, but, all I've ever done is coach. So I'm doing what I feel like I was, blessed to be able to do on earth.
Yeah. And it's interesting because you've had a couple of opportunities and it didn't, come to fruition. And, I like you say, timing's everything. Maybe they're over the past decade. It's been time enough now where people are kind of like, well, if he wants to coach again, maybe he should. What do you think it was though about this alignment? Think in this day and age, everybody always talks about alignment, but like the president on down, because I'm sure you asked those, with Kevin, you had that great relationship with him. You're talking about the AD there, but you got to have everybody on board because, the inevitable, oh my gosh, they shouldn't have done this. They shouldn't have had Art Briles. That's going to come. Why did it go through this time? Like, what do you feel like happened with the whole university? And because it does take the president and everybody being behind you for this to come to fruition.
Yeah. I mean, it's really pretty simple, and it's kind of like how they've been answered is they did their homework. They've been around, they looked around. Kevin's, knows a lot of the people that we work with there in Waco. And, so they did their homework. And, I've had a couple of jobs since then. I coached at Mount Vernon High School for 2 years, which, we had a lot of fun there, and it was a great experience. Of course, I was over in Italy for 3 years, big time there. And, so I've been, coaching on the back burner, on and off for the last decade. But, the simple answer to your question is, they did their homework. They're West Texas people, it's Eastern New Mexico. I mean, might be 10 miles from the Texas border. And, that's the area I grew up in. My wife and I are both from rural Texas, RULE, which is out there, in the middle of nowhere. And so it's just our people. You shake a hand, you look somebody in the eye, and they tell you something, you can believe it. And that's what I really respect and appreciate, because that's the type of people that I grew up with.
All right. What have you, when you started digging in and learning more about this program, what stands out to you? I mean, I would imagine at this level, there's the portal, there's all kinds of, the same things you deal with at all levels of college football. But what was it about this program? Like you said, the community and all of that appealed to you. This is a program that, Art, I think they've gone, 2 straight 3-8 seasons. They're down a little bit. I mean, in 10 years, you've watched college football change immensely. NIL, portal. I guess the great thing about it is, Art, these kids are probably not getting rich there in Portales, are they? You're not probably dealing with like $1 million quarterbacks, are you?
Well, not yet, but I mean, it's that's really was very intriguing to me because I like coaching a underdog type guy, somebody that wants to work and grind and try to feel like he belongs. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of those people there like that. That's the way I've always grown up my coaching career, feeling like a little dog, trying to keep up with the others. And so that mentality's built in. The great thing about today's game is, like you mentioned, the portal. I mean, if you get the right people, you can instantly turn yourself into a contender. So my biggest, job this spring is to get the right people on campus with the right coaches at the right positions, and then, coach the heck out of them starting in the fall. So it's easy talk because, everybody's doing the same thing. And, I've just got to, make sure that we, make the right decisions on the people that can come in there and help us, get this thing turned around.
Is this still going to be the Briles, tried and true offense that electrified folks back in the? Have we tweaked it over the years? What are you bringing? Yeah. You go run some wishbone? What are you? Yeah,
yeah. If there's something in your mind, it's going to be done. The great thing about having some time is you get to, anticipate and visualize and dream. And that's what I've done a lot of, so I've got a lot of great ideas that schematically I think will, kind of help revolutionize what we're doing at Eastern and give us an opportunity to maybe play beyond our means, and that's what you got to do. If your personnel is not as adequate as everybody else's, which I hope ours is, I hadn't had a chance to evaluate the conference, then you got to do something to give your team an edge, and an opportunity to win. So that's something that we'll be looking at. And, that to me is what makes coaching fun, because it's all about, competition and trying to find a way to help your guys be in the right position to win the game.
Is the old gang, are you trying to get them all back together? I think Phil's had a little surgery recently. He's coming back from. What's that like? Putting together your first college staff in nearly a decade, and I bet there's a lot of interest, honestly. And I bet you have some former players who are knocking down your door. And I mean, can you imagine Petty or somebody hey, you need an OC. I know I haven't done this, but
you're kind of right on the mark. The great thing about coaches is that, they're just coaches. They want to coach ball. They want to get out and get in the game and get on the field. And there's been a tremendous amount of interest. And I'm taking my time because I want to make sure that I get the right hires for Eastern and for our football team and to go from there. But I've, really the only hire I've made is a guy that I actually coached at Mount Vernon a few years ago, and he's been coaching at another D1 school here the last couple of years. So he's my first, and I've got some others lined up ready to go. But we're not in any rush to do that. We got to get the right players.
Well, we could break some news. Can you name him, or do we have to wait for his season to end?
It hadn't been released yet, but he'll be an outstanding young coach. Already is, honestly.
Yeah, this is Art Briles on with us. This is a lot of fun to think about, watching your team and all. I got to say, you saw that crowd in Waco recently, and I could tell by your reaction that day. I mean, I'm sure you realized you still had a lot of great friends in Waco, but that was a pretty overwhelming crowd. And now, of course, they're going to try to get you every year because I think you raised a lot of money for them.
I thought it was about me being there. I didn't know it was about the money, but it usually is. No, that was extremely heartwarming, man. Yeah. I know you were there, and it was it was just a heck of a deal, boy. A lot of really good people, good friends, and good memories. And it was very touching for Jan and myself. So it was good to see a bunch of the old players there, and then, like I said, a lot of people in Waco that I haven't seen in a long time. So it really made us feel blessed and did our hearts a lot of good.
All right, and I have to ask you, Baylor just made an extremely unpopular decision to bring back Dave Aranda, a guy that was on your staff at one time, and y'all have crossed paths over the years. And you've seen it over the years. That's always a little uncomfortable and there's some stuff going on that kind of led to that. What have you? You have to help you got a son-in-law, you got Kendall coaching your son at TCU, you got a son-in-law at Mississippi State. So you probably are watching a lot of those games, maybe not watching as much Baylor as people would think. But, when you see a situation like that, have you remained in touch with Dave at all over the years? Because I know he kind of looks up to you and thinks a lot of you. What have you kind of thought of the Baylor program over these last few years?
And you hit it, Matt, honestly. Really the only two universities that I watch week in and week out is TCU and Mississippi State. And, you kind of follow blood, and that's where our blood is. So that's enough, because it's horrible being a fan that cares. I can tell you that. So I empathize with all those people, that have lived day in and day out with it through the years. But, to answer your deal about Dave, Dave and I were on the same staff together at Texas Tech back in 2000. Started 2000. When I got the Houston job, I actually hired him. And he was our linebackers coach there for 2 or 3 years, I think 3 years. And then he's from California. Then he went back out to San Jose or Cal Poly, somewhere out there. And, then moved up through the ranks, did a great job. Dave was always a very intelligent defensive guy, really understood stuff, kind of a nonsense type of person, had a real straight personality that allowed him to focus and to take care of business. And, it doesn't surprise me that Baylor's bringing him back. I mean, 3 years ago, he's, I think, conference champs, and so those things they're hard to come by. I mean, you can look through all the universities in the nation, and well, if you can find someone that's won a conference championship, that's a feather that should stay there for a while. So I'm like I said, I'm not at liberty to really, give an opinion other than the fact that, as a person, I think Dave's a really, really good man. And to answer your question about being in contact with him, the only time I really have been was when he first got there, and he texted me and we talked for a little bit about, living in Waco, being at Baylor. But that's he's been there 5 or 6 years now. So that's been a day or two.
Yeah. And it's interesting to hear you say Mike Leach brings back so many memories. It's funny to imagine you and Mike like on the whiteboard together back in the day, and you have, much different personalities. I'm sure there's some similarities, but that's just because you had your own offense and he had his own air raid.
That's right.
Yet you all had to sort of somehow mesh, and I'm sure you learned some things from him. You probably learned some things not to do. I don't remember any fat little girlfriend things leaking out of your locker room, but I heard that Mike at one point was wanting to bring you into Mississippi State before he passed away, and that would have been really something. I don't even know what capacity that would have been in. Is that accurate? Was there a point where he was thinking about trying to bring you in there?
Yeah, Mike was a very interesting person. God rest his soul. You mentioned our similarities. Our main similarity is that we both love football. That's it. I mean, of course, he had his way. I got my way. Everybody's got their own way. But the thing that meshed us is that we both love ball. And Mike always, was trying to get better, trying to find ways to do better. And really, yeah, when he was here at State, he he did call me. He'd call and he'd talk about, fall practice and spring ball and how to keep guys fresh. And, he's always looking for ways to keep his team on the cutting edge and make them better, because we've always felt like we were, kind of that way as a program, making sure our guys were ready to go on Saturday by how we took care of them during the week. And he was, he really was. He was actually the year that, that I guess that's been 3 years ago now, maybe. There was some discussion, but he had, I tell you what, him and those guys that helped him hire there at Tech in 2000, they put together a great staff. There were some people on there that we all got in there at the same time. And, I could drop a few names, starting with Sonny Dykes and Dana Holgerson, Robert Anai, Greg McMacus, Ruffin McNeil, Brian Norwood, I don't know who else, but I'm sure I'm leaving some people out, but we're all sitting in the same room every day. And, 6 or 8 of those guys, went out and were head coaches. So it was really a good time at Texas Tech and a great staff to be on.
So Mike didn't just go off on tangents. He could kind of he could get down to business in some of those meetings. I bet that was.
Yeah. I mean, he's a football coach. That's it.
Yeah.
That was a great thing. So I, always respected his knowledge and love of the game. He was a straight, air raid guy, Hal Mummy, those guys. I mean, they live with it now, and he stuck to his roots.
Yeah,
and running the ball. I'll tell you that.
No, and that's what made your teams at Baylor, honestly, what probably made the passing game so devastating is the commitment to running the ball and Shock and, Lake and all those guys. I can't help but ask you a couple of Baylor questions. And you did a nice job at that event, but 2015, that team, Art, did that have a possibility? Because you'd had back-to-back conference championships.
Yeah.
Was in some ways that team could have given you your best shot at a national title, because the other teams were in the running, obviously. 2014, you probably should have been in the playoff. I think you would argue you should have been.
Well, I think we had a good argument. But
yeah, I do. Yeah, I still have memories of
fifth. We just didn't know it was going to be us.
I ran into Bob on the way down there to see y'all, and Bob should have just turned around and driven back. Old Bowlesby, I ran into him at the Slotsky's in Hillsboro, and I said, "Bob, you gonna call a champion tonight?" Anyway, I don't know if he found it that funny,
a long story. We don't want to get into that.
But was that 2015 team with Seth? Before he got hurt, and the athleticism he had, the depth of that team, unbelievable running backs.
Really the O-line and the defense, and that was. We really thought we could. That was the year that we could turn it on and run the tables. I mean, there were phases in there where, you hate to say it, but almost unbeatable. When we were on and we're clicking and having Seth being able to do what he could do, and then have the ability to run the ball and throw the ball with, like I mentioned, that great old line. Actually in the North Carolina game, we played 10 guys up front. That's how deep we were up front in the O-line. And we were a dominating team that knew how to win, because we're coming off 2 11-win seasons and, like you mentioned, 2 Big 12 championships. So, it's contagious, once you start doing that and the guys believe, then you really become a team that's got a chance to take it all the way. So to answer your question, we felt like, that was a good chance to turn it. And we had, really had some good recruits coming, in that next class. But unfortunately Seth got hurt, and then Jared Stidham was a true freshman. He went down to K-State right after Seth got hurt, and it's a hard place to win on night game, and he did that as a true freshman. Then he gets hurt, at Oklahoma State. Chris Johnson comes in, does a great job, plays a game or two, and kind of caught up with us a little bit, really against TCU. And then, he gets hurt against Texas, and that's when we went to the, just the Wildcat deal completely.
Mm-hmm.
We call them snap catchers, not quarterbacks.
And if you'd have started the game like that against Texas, I think y'all, I mean, because y'all absolutely in the second half were threatening to come back and win that
Oh
game.
yeah, well, that's when we put it on at halftime.
Yeah.
So that but it took us a little while to get it going, and we made some adjustments from there to the bowl game that really helped us, solidify how to run that offense.
Yeah, I think Lynx now goes around telling everybody he was a college quarterback. I mean, that's the thing you got to watch.
He's not. I'll if he wants to debate that anytime, I'm ready. But he is a great kid that did a great job, and I'm a Lynx lover. He went to the league with us and coached, and he's awesome. He actually played over there too.
Oh my gosh, yeah. You just had so many fun personalities, great players on that team. By the way, you look great, and I mean, if math is correct, you may be pushing 70, but you look kind of like you could. Oh no, Art, it's sneaking up. I don't think we can put
70 is a new 50.
That's right. Okay,
that's what 70-year-olds say.
That's what they say. But you look. Yeah. How has your health been? I think I had heard maybe there'd been a little bit of a health scare, I don't know, a couple of years ago or whatever. Again, you look great. How's that journey been for you?
I guess as you get older and fortunate to live this length, you have things come up, and I have had an issue or two, but knock on wood and Lord watching and willing, everything's great. I honestly feel as good as I've ever felt. I don't know what it is. I mean, I guess you feel bad if you want to feel bad, but I feel good. I feel great. I can do everything I want to do. And, I've just been really blessed. The Lord's blessed me. And that's why I'm so excited about this journey at Eastern, because I really think that, I can fulfill a lot of things for a lot of those young student athletes, in the university. And that's my driving goal, is to help them, get to where they want to get as a university and as a football program. And it's kind of what I've done all my life, when I've gone into places. So this kind of gives me kind of a curtain call to go do it. And, we'll see where it all is in 2 or 3 years. But right now I'm just extremely thankful and grateful and eager.
Well, I anticipate seeing some Eastern New Mexico jerseys make their way to Central Texas. You probably have already had people reaching out to you, and so I don't think they can put it in the bookstore.
Are a hot commodity. I can get you one for about $4.50.
Can you do Venmo, or can I? Yeah, however you do it. Yeah. Hey, the last thing I had for you, and interestingly, because it's been almost a decade, I have not seen as much backlash. But there are people that go, he should not coach in college again, and based on what happened over a decade ago or close to a decade at Baylor. What is your answer when people kind of have that thought that, hey, he really should not be doing this?
I don't have an answer really. I mean, because if I gave an answer, it'd be the wrong one. If I gave an answer, it'd be the right one, So my deal is, it's kind of like Eastern. They did their homework. They feel comfortable. They feel that it's the right thing to do at the right time. So that's where I'm at. So I'm just, I'm grateful and thankful and ready to start a new chapter in my life.
What's the best text? I mean, other than from me, what would you say is sort of the best text or message you've received, or were there a couple that really, were pretty neat to hear from folks maybe you hadn't heard from in a long time, or I'm sure you've heard from a ton of your players. What's that reception been like?
Well, I mean, first of all, seriously, I had to turn my phone off because it's just too crazy, and you got people like you mentioned, when you live to be almost 70, you've been around a lot of people for a long time, and I'm one of those guys that never changes my cell number. So it's the same. But no, the text messages in the sport have been just completely overwhelming. And I understand, that I've got to go in there and, like I said, fulfill my duties at Eastern, do a good job and put a good product on the field and do it the right way. And and make the community and the university proud. So that's where all my focus and goal is, Matt, and I'm thankful to be able to do it.
All right. And what's the home situation there in Portales? Have you guys already been shopping the market? Is that a pretty decent market there?
Well, there's places to live. So we were just in there for a night, last week. And then I went back in there Monday, or I guess got in there Sunday night, Monday night. But it's, for me, I mean, if they pulled a van up next to the field house and said, here, you can stay here for the next 3 years, I'd be fine with it. But Jan's a little bit different than I am in that situation. So I just kind of let her handle that. I'm pretty easy to please on what to stay.
Yeah, don't give Kevin any ideas.
He already knows.
He might take you up on that.
Give me a sleeping bag and a place in the locker room, and I'm going to be up there all the time anyway. So it's all good.
Well, hey, I think a lot of people in Waco and elsewhere, and of course, you can imagine what people were saying to me at that thing, at that event where you were speaking, you and Briles, and they would say, "You think Art can come back here?" And I kind of would smile, and I'd look back up at them, Art. They were serious as they could be. I'm like, "Oh, wait, you're being serious."
That's above our decision. But honestly, I'm very grateful for the love and support from Baylor University. I mean, a lot of love, a lot of support, and a lot of good friends and memories. So we're very thankful for the time we had.
Yeah, and that was quite an ovation, and I think they were excited. Hey, listen, have a happy Thanksgiving. Boy, Jancy, your daughter's there, who's a great friend of mine from years past when she was with the Dallas Cowboys. What is your favorite side? What's your favorite item there on the Thanksgiving table? I don't want to get you in trouble because I'm sure your daughter's and bringing in different items, and boy, some stuff's happening Egg Bowl related. So you got some of the family that probably can't make it to where you are. But what's the Art Briles' favorite Thanksgiving?
I'm pretty
food?
bland. I'm a pumpkin pie guy, just once a year. So it's always a treat. So I'll be getting into that Thursday, no doubt.
Yeah. Well, man, that is interesting. That Eastern New Mexico, the E on that hat, that's nice. That's a nice. Is that their color? What are their colors?
$4.50, green and gray. So they're the Greyhounds. So,
okay.
I'm trying to find some guys that are fast like those Greyhound dogs.
Have you ever been to the dog races?
I actually have. They used to have some in Houston. I went a couple of times, and they're over so fast. If you're not paying attention, you miss it. So that's kind of what you like about a good offense. You don't want to get up and go to the concession stand. You might miss a touchdown. Yeah,
it sounds like Chris Platt and some of those guys.
Yeah. Tevin Reeves.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we had some guys that could stretch the field.
I would say so. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, great to catch up. I've done
appreciate it. You look great.
Hey, I appreciate it. You look good.
Your hair guy.
Stop it. The hair is. If people try to say they're like, "Do you dye it?" I'm like, no.
Of course,
not in a million years. No, I wouldn't know how to put that stuff in.
Somebody put his Bible in front of him. No, it's been awesome. I appreciate you.
There he goes. Thank you, Art Briles, on the Matt Mosley Show, joining us today. What a way to end the show today on a special holiday edition. Art Briles hired at Eastern New Mexico. A lot of folks excited for him, and it's been interesting to see all the feedback. I think a lot of folks are happy to see him get this opportunity. And watch out is all I can say. Whoever's in that conference, I think it's a Lone Star Conference, because there is speed, and it's headed to Portales, and there's no way he's going to go in there with it not locked and loaded, ready to go. And so he's bringing in people as we speak. I want to wish everybody that's been listening to us that we have a huge Twitter audience, more and more people signing up for the YouTube. We appreciate you. We want you to have a wonderful Thanksgiving. I'll be out covering the Cowboys, and then we'll, I think, take Friday off and be back Monday to react to Baylor's final game of the season, maybe final. I don't know. If they beat Houston, they'll be in a bowl game. So we'll react to all of that on Monday. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
This report brought to you by Diamante Country Club in Hot Springs Village, Arkansas, a golfer's paradise.